So we were contacted by this really cool game called King's Bounty 2, which is coming out this year, and they wanted us to make something from their game, and we found this really cool tower, which is, well, it's actually an aqueduct. So I thought, okay, well, it's an aqueduct, so why not put the aqua in the duct and make it a real water fountain? Yes, and it's been such a long time since I made the castle, so I thought it could be cool to make like a pretty big tower and make it a water fountain as well. Here's the plan. We're going to build this tower on one side that is going to look really magical with like a glowing crystal on the top with some LEDs and maybe some epoxy resin. And then from the side of the tower there will be an aqueduct that kind of ends in this waterfall that collects in the little lake at the bottom. And to make a lot of this we're going to use some XPS foam, some miniature supplies, you know, epoxy resin, cardboard. But before we get to all that fancy stuff, we have to make a little base for everything to sit inside. And to make that we're going to use some plywood and cut it on our laser cutter upstairs. Let's go chop some wood. To make our landscape and our tower, we're gonna use this, which is called XPS foam. And this is actually used for insulation in houses and stuff. And it's really nice because it's super dense, like compared to the white styrofoam, which is made of these tiny balls that just gets everywhere, sticks to everything. This is just denser and nicer to work with. We're gonna start cutting this up in layers, gluing it together, and then we can start shaping our tower. So let's go. So I was just about to start chopping this with a hot knife and I realized that causes a lot of fumes, so I had to kind of makeshift this little snake thing that is a fume extractor that brings the fumes right out the window. Very nice. I know that went a little fast, but really all I've done up until now is to glue a lot of layers of styrofoam together using the hot knife to carve it out. And then I've added some clay, like air drying clay, to fix the windows and the roof down here, and a little layer of plaster on top to kind of bind everything together. And now what we're gonna start working on is this spot up here where the crystal is gonna be, and I'm gonna make like a little pavilion thing, a little building that the crystal and the LED is gonna sit inside. And to make it I'm gonna use some chipboard, which I've used a lot before, and I'm gonna cut it out on our laser cutter. Here we have all the pieces we're gonna need for the pavilion. Well, hopefully. I mean, when I make these kind of templates, I usually just do it from my mind and using a ruler and kind of just hope they all fit together. And now we can just click go and start. Boom. And look at William go. You're doing a great job, William. Perfect circle, baby. So now we can just pick all of these up and bring him downstairs. So now I just gotta find my super glue so we can try to put this thing together. And now we can start adding some foam and some clay on top of this. got this done, we're gonna put a 3-watt LED at the top here, and we're gonna wire that to this water pump that we're gonna put at the bottom. The electronics are in, so now let's add some foam coat. So this project was paid for by King's Bounty 2, which is this really awesome looking turn-based RPG game set to release the 24th of August this year. And like Hansi and I love these kind of turn-based RPG games, so I'm actually really looking forward to playing this game. And what's really cool is that King's Bounty 2 is the sequel to one of the earliest, most iconic turn-based games there are. Like it came out in 1990, like it's older than me. What? The game is set in the fantasy world of Antara, where kingdoms are in disarray, counties demand independence, bandits prowl the roads and distorted creatures roam the countryside, and you can be one of the heroes who emerge as their last hope. You play as a hero of your choice, recruiting, developing, and commanding your own army. Each hero has their own story, and you'll go through story-driven quests and fight tactical battles against your enemies in this immersive RPG game. The story is unpredictable and non-linear, and your actions actually holds true weight in the game, which is pretty cool. The game will be available on both PC, Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and the Nintendo Switch. So thank you so much, King's Bounty 2, and make sure to check out the game because it really looks super awesome. And back to the project. The electronics are now in place, and we're gonna start working on a crystal that is going to kind of hang inside here. When I've made crystals in the past, they have always had one flat surface, so that makes it very easy to make a vacuum mold out of it. But this is a bit more complicated because I want to make a crystal that has like it's a 360 crystal, so it's different from all sides, and that makes it a lot harder to make a mold. So I'm gonna try 2 different methods to make a mold. So I'm gonna use polymer clay to make 2 blanks of the same crystal, and with one of them I'm gonna use silicone to try to make a 2-part mold, and with the other one I'm gonna try to cut it like down the middle and use the vacuum former and make a mold out of those 2 halves, and then cast them in epoxy resin and try to glue them together. I mean, I haven't tried either of these methods before, but hopefully one of them works. So let's get to sculpting. I just got these out of the oven, they're cooked through, and now we made this mold out of Legos because it's a very convenient way to make molds. And this is what we're going to use together with the silicone. So we're basically just going to mix this. It's kind of like a silicone clay. We're going to stuff it in there, put the crystal with the little funnel at the top, and then make the next layer once that's cured. Let's try to mix it and see what happens. Just mix. Try to get it into all the corners. I've attached the funnel to the crystal, so now we can just push this down into the silicone, like there. And we gotta add some registration marks, so I'm just gonna use this little Lego. There. So now that's done, this has to cure for about 2 hours or something, so we can just set this to the side and we'll come back and do the top after. And in the meantime, we're gonna do the vacuum forming. So first I gotta cut this in half. Nice. And now I'm gonna take these and make a vacuum mold. The silicone is completely hardened now, and I'm a bit afraid because it's kind of sticky and I don't want the next layer on top to stick to this, so I thought just to add a little bit of talcum powder on top, like just to be sure. I might not need it, but better safe than sorry. I think that's enough. So now we can just press this on top of the other one. The silicone is now cured, so let's just try to access the top here and we can pour the epoxy. Please. It seems to work. Oh. It looks perfect. I think that worked really well, so let's just try to pour the epoxy. No. Yes. While the epoxy is curing, we're gonna work a bit more on this. As you can see, this kind of doesn't blend very nicely, so we're gonna add some more clay to kind of build it up underneath here and make it blend, and also make sure that this tube for the water is stuck inside the little opening here. And then after that, we can paint everything and start to make it look nice. So let's get to work. I just finished painting the lake bottom here and I'm going to bed now, so I'm gonna pour some epoxy resin in the duct here and down here just to make sure that everything is watertight. Good morning! It's the day after, so the epoxy should now be cured. I'm most curious to see what this looks like. Moment of truth. Ew! There's so many bubbles. God dang it. But it kind of worked. I mean, oh, it's not completely hardened because this is, well, that's convenient, actually. Yeah, the bubbles, we should have used the pressure chamber, shouldn't we? But the shape is really nice though. Like, it really worked well, except for the bubbles. Well, we have a second option. With this one, these should release. There we go. Let's see if they fit together. Kinda, but not quite. I think one of them had not enough resin, so it didn't go like all the way to the top, so they don't match up perfectly. Nothing is going to plan. I mean, I could try to glue this together, I guess, just to see what it looks like. So I glued them together and I added this fishing line at the top here, and I also added just this super thin layer of epoxy glue outside it just to kind of blend those layers together, and I think it really looks good now. Like, I think we can use this. So I'm just gonna let that epoxy layer cure and then we can attach it to the diorama. In the meantime, we can finish up this paint job and attach some vegetation. Let's do this! It's finally finished and I can't wait to see it with water in it. But before that, I just wanted to give a huge thanks to King's Bounty 2 for, well, basically paying us to make something this cool. As I said, it comes out the 24th of August, so remember to wishlist it on Steam using the link down in the description. Now, let's find some water. It's finally time to see if this is actually waterproof. I can't see any leaks. So far, so good. Okay. Should we plug it in? Let's plug it in. Yes, it doesn't splash all over. Oh, thank goodness. Oh my god, look at the crystal. This sound kind of makes me want to pee, but it's also very relaxing at the same time. You can kind of hear the pump, so this might not be something you want to leave on all the time, but you know, it's kind of cool to show off. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much to our patrons and YouTube members for supporting our channel. And now, let's have a look at the final result.